We're going to start from the very beginning. Your senior year of high school, you were recruited by several other schools, including UNC Greensboro and IUPUI. What made you choose UCA?
For me, UCA was a choice based on Coach Daniel was coaching at the time, and his coaching staff, specifically Coach Randall. They were always very down to earth with me as far as just the entire coaching staff and very upfront. And, you know, he told me how he was in his early years of his coaching job at UCA and the vision he had and the style of play that he would like to get UCA women's basketball to. And after listening to him and really sitting down and thinking about it, I felt like, you know, the style of play that I've been playing my life, you know, during my life, and, you know, where I wanted to be as far as athletically in my career, that I would fit in with the system he wanted to implement.
Well, did the fact that the Sugar Bears were only 6-23 the year before and still ineligible for postseason play, did that play a factor in your decision?
Well, you know, it was something that I definitely thought about initially, but at the same time, you know, it kind of means a lot to know that being like a hometown or a fairly local kid, that to know you can come in and, you know, possibly make a big impact on a university that's really not known for women's basketball. And, you know, you kind of always want to be a part of that because you kind of look back and say, I helped lay the foundation. So the fact that they were struggling, like I said, I kind of deterred away from it at first, but at the same time, you know, I feel like we could only go up, and I knew a lot of the young ladies he was recruiting at the time and the talent, how talented they were. So I feel like it was a good chance to take, and ultimately I feel like it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely did. Your freshman year was very successful with an overall record of 21-8, a complete turnaround from the year before. Did you know at the time how good the team was and the potential that you guys had for the future?
You know, I feel like we all were a little naive to how good we were. You know, we naturally had talent, but our freshman year, we worked hard, and we came in knowing that, I think the fact that nobody expected us to win, you know, the bar wasn't set high, but knowing that we surpassed it really, you know, was a good feeling. But I just think it just took work and just getting to know each other. We played very well together. You know, sometimes I can honestly say I don't feel like we were just the most talented team, but we knew how to play off each other, and that just, you know, led us to a successful year in the years to come.
Well, in your sophomore year, you would go on to the SLC tournament as a 3 seed, winning your first 2 games against SFA and Lamar, where you scored 18 points and were 9 for 9 from the free throw line. That game went into overtime, and you had 9 points, outscoring the Lady Cardinals single-handedly in overtime. Talk about what was going on in your mind during this game that resulted in this incredible performance.
Well, for the most part, you know, I feel like I remember that game like it was yesterday, but you know, we were up most of the game, and right at the very end, we let them tie the game up to send us into overtime. And really just thinking about that past year, they had beaten us twice, and we always felt like we were the better team. So, you know, I really just wanted to try to close the game out. I kind of hit a shot early and hit another one, so it was more of like a heat check thing. But in my mind, I was just like, you know, the time is here now. We have a good chance to, you know, beat a good team, and we just need to close it out. And sometimes, like, I just feel like, you know, we needed that edge, and that was my night, you know, to be high. I feel like we exchanged nights some night, and that was my night. So I just tried to do whatever I could to help us get the win.
Well, you guys would go on to lose to McNeese State in the tournament final, and then UAB in the women's basketball invitational. But what was the most important thing that you took away as a player from that season and as a team?
You know, I think a lot of that is you do have to lose to appreciate the winning, but we were still a little young at the time, so I think we needed to appreciate, you know, how it feels to get close and, you know, take a loss on that caliber. And even going into UAB, I feel like if you put us in that predicament a year later, you know, we probably don't lose that game because we didn't really realize the significance of going to postseason play if it wasn't the NCAA or WNIT. But it just allowed us to know that just because we think we deserve to win, because I think a part of us thought it's our first year in, we're the Cinderella story, we got to the last game. And I think we did play hard, but I mean, I don't think we played the type of basketball we needed to win the tournament. So that just gave us an edge on, you know, how we should, you know, play throughout the season to put us in the same predicament that we were that year. But just to know how it feels to be like championship level, it's different from regular season to conference tournament to the championship game. It's a different level of play regardless how tired you are. And I think we just needed to know that it took more than the effort we had been given.
Well, the Sugar Bears started off your junior year playing Indiana and Alabama, 2 big schools. What did these 2 wins mean for the program?
I think it meant a lot because, you know, being someone from Little Rock, fairly close, you hear that y'all all right, y'all aren't that good, you just, finding a way to get by. But, for schools on that level to come in, first off, to get them in the community was a big deal, and to actually beat them was another, because it just showed how, we have been working that past year since we lost in the championship, and that we really, we're not scared of a big name school. We took our losses at big schools, definitely, but just to let the state more than anything and across the country give us, some recognition that we couldn't play with big name programs.
One of the craziest games of your junior year was against rival McNeese State when you hit a three with 4.2 seconds left to send that game into overtime. That game would go on into another overtime until the Sugar Bears would finally pull out the win. Can you describe that moment and what it was like hitting that clutch shot in such an intense game?
Man, that moment, it was everything, because, just knowing that they beat us the year before, and it was emotional just coming down the stretch. It was everybody's kind of like reluctant in the fact that we're down 3 with, 10 or so seconds left. So just knowing that in the back of my head, I'm like, if I could just get a good shot on the rim, I feel like I have a good shot of it going in. So I just want to take a good shot. It's a shot that I feel like I've kind of practiced here and there, and I, got some room off the screen and was able to get a good look up.
The Sugar Bears would go on to win the Southland Conference regular season title and got knocked out the first game of the SLC tournament. What happened in that game?
Yeah, I think we were a little tired, but I think that was just a lesson learned too, because like I said, the year before we learned, hey, it takes more. This is what it takes to be successful in a tournament. And I think we just really assumed that we would beat Nichols. We probably beat them 20 or 30 points 2 or 3 weeks before, and they got all the momentum early, and we tried to fight back. But ultimately we just we dug ourselves too deep of a hole. So we just had to we put ourselves in that predicament, because at the end of the day you can't just expect to win. You have to go out and win.
Right. Going into your senior year, Coach Matt Daniels announced that he was going to take a head coaching job at Marshall, and Sandra Rushing would come in as the new head coach. What was the transition like between coaches?
Well, it was definitely different, because I think, Coach Daniel, he was definitely hard on us. Coach Rushing was, just as hard, if not a little harder. But it was a transition because defensively she required a lot more of us. And it wasn't just, for a specific game, but, day in, day out during practice. And, her offense was a little different. So, just adjusting to it it's a big change, just because you've been under someone for 3 years, and even if it was minor, everybody's different. Every coach is different. No one is going to be alike in any sense, maybe similar, but you're still some things and some tendencies that you could get away with in the past that you couldn't get away with in the future. So it was just a learning experience, and just growing pains in a sense. But it went well, and I think it was better for some people at the time.
Well, unfortunately, early in the season of your senior year, you experienced a lot of knee trouble, and you tried to play through it, but eventually had to undergo ACL surgery. And instead of hanging it up, you chose to come back and play this year. What fueled that decision to come back and play?
Well, mostly I didn't really want to have a kind of bitter taste in my mouth from ending, college career, possibly ever playing basketball again on a torn ACL. But, just sitting back and thinking about it, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and it was some reason that I should have been here that next year, whether it was the young ladies or just the experiences or some of the games that we played. So after just taking time, praying about it and really thinking on it, I just decided to give it another go.
What was the emotion like playing your last game in the Ferris Center on senior night?
It was very, emotions were very high, because just thinking about where I came from back in 2009 and how the fan base has just grown over the past 4 or 5 years and how supportive they've been. It means a lot to just know that the people are behind you through every win, through every loss, and how they, just hearing how they wanted what's best for me in life, post-basketball, and just being supportive, academics, athletically. It means a lot, those people, you remember that and you really cherish it as a player, so I really appreciated it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were part of the original 6 that came in and were really the pioneers of success for this program over the past 4 years. Where do you see this program headed in the future with Coach Rushing?
I feel like they have a good foundation. When I look at some of the girls that are here now, you have players that are very, very similar to some of the young ladies that I came in with, and just knowing that this year we were number 1 for the bulk of the season, kind of came together at the end, but knowing that they really have a lot of potential. They have some good recruits coming in, and I just hope that they continue the legacy that we're trying to build. But I could see them definitely winning in the next few years, if not next year, as long as they just stay focused, keep working hard, and believe and play well with one another.